is where I always do these.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, it helps.
Okay.
All right, are we good to go?
Somebody else is going to need to pull up YouTube too today and keep the chat going, because when I'm sharing my screen, I won't be able to do that.
Excellent.
Just as FYI. I just mute it. Once I get it pulled up, I just mute it.
Just give me just a second, and then we'll do that.
Takes a minute to find the live. View your channel. Sorry to the rest of you guys watching. Let's see, is anybody even watching right now? Let's see.
Hold, please.
Here.
Oh,
Yep.
Nevin Stoltz is on.
Yay,
Hi,
Nevin.
Nevin.
We like Nevin. Okay, now I did that.
View your channel. And you did that, everyone, right?
Let's see. No.
Okay, I'll go do that with this directly. That way it takes them directly to it.
I put the link. I just didn't do at everyone. Because do you do it in the post or in the, I don't know which way you do it.
In the post.
Okay.
I can fix it.
Okay, thank you. Please fix it.
All right. In the meantime, get us started.
All right. Welcome everyone to VO Booth Besties. We're here to help working voice actors get your most important questions answered by industry pros who know. Each week we have a new topic and a guest speaker who is an expert on that topic. If you missed a live episode, you can always catch the recording later on our website, boothbesties.com, or anywhere you find your favorite podcasts. And be sure to join us in the VO Booth Besties Facebook group as well. I'm warning you now, this may go a little bit long because this is going to be an amazing conversation, but it's a big topic with lots of information. So stick around, it'll definitely be worth it. Now, without further ado, let's meet our guest. Over to you, JT. You're muted.
She's not, though. All right, well, while JT figures that out, I will read Kay's intro. Maybe. Kay Bess. I got it. Kay Bess has worked as a voice actor for nearly 40 years and has been heard on TV and radio commercials too numerous to count. She's done promos for every major American TV network and a wide variety of cable stations. She is currently the voice of Sinclair Broadcast Group and heard on more than 70 affiliated stations nationwide. Kay has voiced video games in renowned franchises such as The Last of Us 2, Call of Duty, Infinite Warfare, Mass Effect, Andromeda, Agents of Mayhem, Skylanders, Superchargers, State of Decay 2, Crackdown 3, Final Fantasy XV, which I think is 15, sorry, and Fallout 76. Kay has also landed roles in noted animation series such as The Loud House, Spirit Riding Free, and Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts. She's best known as the voice of Anna, in the celebrated video game Lara Croft Rise of the Tomb Raider, and can be heard as the voice of the starship La Sirena in Star Trek Picard, and just so much more. Kay resides in quaint and quiet Thompson Station, Tennessee, not too far from me, with her emotionally unstable dog, Stella, and loves communing with the deers, cow, and other wildlife in her neighborhood. On weekends, she relishes visiting local farms for milk, beef, eggs, and vegetables, and otherwise spends entirely too much time inside her head contemplating the meaning of life. Welcome, Kay.
I love that bio, Kay.
That's
like, I'm like a voice of, you know, this super soldier in this game, but I love cows. And
yeah, I love cows so much. I want a cow.
Pictures.
I want a cow. And I have fantasies of, you know, having a cow. And then I look into it and I go, oh man, you can never leave your house if you have a cow, you know?
Golden handcuffed to a cow. Oh, we're going to pause really quick. JT, can you check and see if your mic is working yet?
Yes.
Yay! All right, so let's start this show. I want to give today's discussion a little bit of context. I'm sure many of you know that VOBB not only tries to share helpful information about working in the voiceover industry, but we use our podcast and our Facebook group as well. And as you can imagine, all three of us get inundated with questions in our DMs daily. LinkedIn, on all socials, and we do our best to answer them. One of the topics that we get asked about most is demos. a month or so ago, I made a post in our Facebook group about the evolution of the demo. And it included a lot of questions we get from you, our listeners, our community. But needless to say, the comment section blew up. All of our DMs blew up. We had producers, casting directors, agents, different coaches, all reaching out to us. And the reaction was incredible and very positive. I did hear through the grapevine that there were 2 people who never contacted me, but felt that the post was directed at them and that I was somehow attacking their business. I don't know. But needless to say, that's a them problem, not a me problem. And we are so glad to have one person who reached out and said, yeah, we need to talk about this, and I want to join your show. And that is veteran voice actor and coach, Kay Bess. How are you doing, Kay?
I am good. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
It's going to be great. So I should caveat, because concurrently, after or during the time that I made this post and this conversation about demos and how did we get to where we are and how much they cost and all these standards that I don't know where they came from, concurrently, we also had that little scandal, big scandal with Lisa Biggs. So I want to also drop that in, that this grew into something we didn't know it would grow into, but we're going to try to attack the whale, eat the whale one bite at a time. So let's get into it.
Right.
When you and I first spoke, one of the first things you said to me about the role of a demo in 2024 was that not everyone is using a demo for the same reason. Can you tell us about that, your view on this?
Sure. I mean, I bring myself as a voice actor, an agency represented voice actor, and I get virtually all of my audition opportunities from an agent, and I bring the perspective of a coach, who I coach people who are rank beginners, to advanced, for all different kinds of reasons, and I mostly do what I would sort of under the big umbrella call career coaching, but it's really because people come to me floundering or lost, and they don't know where to go or what to do next. And oftentimes they come to me with their demos that aren't serving them and that they've been criticized for, that they're not up to standard, And so my question is always, what standard? Like, whose standard, right? So I think, and I don't think I have to put this caveat, but I will. I'm just one person, and this is my view. So, so good people can come at this with a differing opinion or with more information, obviously. So, I think that if you're pursuing an agent at this point in 2024, you have to have your ducks in a row, as they say, right? You have to have some work under your belt, unless you're really young, like you're a teen or in your early 20s and you're super green and you haven't had time in life for experience. But if you're older than that, you need to bring with you some experience, some coaching, and some work. Like agents need to know that you have the capacity to book work, right? It's a very competitive market. So when you are coming to an agent, you want a demo that reflects the work that you can do right now, and you want it to reflect that you are of an agency level, if you will. And it's going to sound like what I'm saying, that there are higher ranking and lower ranking, and that's not really what I mean. I just mean that there are different markets, and every market has its need, right? And we as voice actors need to figure out which markets we're looking at and what need we fill, right? So if somebody is a beginner and they've gone to, let's say they think, I want to do voiceover, I heard about this conference, and they go to the conference and people are coming at them with, don't make a demo, until you're ready. What does ready mean? Don't make a demo, your first impressions, are lasting impressions, and, all of these things. And it sort of terrifies a beginner. And so then they feel pressure to go make a demo with someone, who is well regarded in the industry as a demo maker, because they make good demos, right? But they're also making demos at a premium. And so all of a sudden they've kicked down a lot of money. And while some people will say, we don't make demos for people who aren't ready. Well, then how do you make them ready? And is it that you send them off for coaching for 2 years? Okay. Or is it that you say, we can coach you, through your demo. And that happens quite a lot, right? So I receive these people, right? I receive them when they call me and say, I'm lost. I just made this demo and I'm getting feedback on, I just spent a lot of money on it. I'm getting feedback on it that it's flat, or it's not me, or it doesn't say, or it has the wrong copy on it, or it, all these things. And I kind of go, oh, and so then I ask, where are you well, I haven't really worked much, and I'm just sort of now getting my pay to play pages up, and I go, okay, well, let's back off. You don't necessarily need all that shiny demo, because that's the kind of demo that you want to present to an agent, and you can do with less. And that's where people go, what do you mean you could do with less? And I have a favorite saying. It crops up all the time, and it's an Arthur Ashe quote, and it's, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. So for people who come to me as beginners, I say, do you have the capacity to record something at home? Can you find copy and record it? Can you record some snippets? And if you can, then either you can do this, or you can very likely find someone to put some music behind it for $50. Mm-hmm. And you can put a sample on your page to get yourself started, whether it's voices.com or voice123, or whether it's just your own website that you're developing. So you start where you are. It may not be a demo. It may be a few snippets, but you're starting, and it is the start. And then your first demo will be your first demo, not your last demo, right?
Yeah.
And so then you have to be patient. As long as the samples that you have on your site are reflective of what you can do at this moment in time, you're presenting something authentically. I have a dear friend who said to me, I made this demo, and it's an absolutely fantastic, beautifully produced demo. The production values are insane. It's fantastic. And I can't use it because it doesn't sound like me. It's a great demo, but it doesn't sound like me. I can't reproduce it, and she's a working professional. So she needed to start over with stuff that, with a demo that more accurately reflected what she could do. So again, demos serve different purposes. And I think when we're talking about the pursuit of an agent, and you really should be ready for that, there are, again, a lot of ducks you got to get in a row before you want to do that. Then you can kind of talk about whether or not the demos that you have represent you properly, whether they need augmenting, whether they need to be scrapped and completely redone. And at that point, if you've got some working capital, that's a nice investment, right? I don't know. I can't really say that it's certainly not my financial strategy to go into debt for a demo. It's not my strategy. If I don't have the money to do it, I'm not doing it.
I like that. And our listeners will appreciate hearing that. But
Yeah.
To just come full circle on it, when theoretically, if a talent is doing local work, or they are doing online casting sites, or maybe, they're just connecting with local businesses,
Yes.
like you said, not everyone's goal in voiceover is to do national ads and get a national agent. I mean, I think
That is absolutely
we
correct.
get misguided, and you
Yeah.
hear like you must have this, and it's name brands, and it must be this caliber, like you said, like certainly when you go to conferences. But there's some folks that they really are trying to just make some extra income. They want to have a side hustle. They're not trying to bring the industry down, but they're also not trying to be the voice of some, major campaign either.
That's exactly right. I'll tell you a little side note. The first time I went to VO Atlanta, I think it was 2017, I think. And I tell you, I really didn't know anything about the conference. I was an LA talent, and I was asked to come and teach a promo class, and honestly, I went there and I had this whole idea that I was going to show these sweet country bumpkins, what being a voice actor was really like. And I was going to bring my professional prowess and impart all my fabulous wisdom, and I got there and I I received far more than I gave. I I learned about a vast number of people who make a living in voiceover, who don't have agents at all,
Mm-hmm.
who have regional agents that they work with, and they make more money than I do, and so I got schooled,
Yeah.
and they were doing all this remarkable marketing and this, pursuit of clients on their own without, an agent as an intermediary. And I was like, how do you do that? Like it was amazing to me. And I realized that not everybody wants the kind of career that I had,
Mm.
it's just not the case. And so it completely flipped my 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 perspective on how voiceover has changed and how it continues to change and how it continues to grow and evolve. And frankly, the model of agency representation being sort of the only path to success is rapidly fading.
Mm-hmm.
It's so, it has its place. It does. And if you want a particular type of career, you want a career in animation, I think if you to a little lesser degree, if you want a career in video games, dubbing, those are things that are sort of LA centric, if you will, even less New York. But then yeah, you have to set your sights on that, and that's a different path, But man, and it just made me realize not everybody's after the same brass ring. They're after brass rings of their own,
There
not
you go. There you go.
mine.
Setting your
No?
own goals, your own objectives.
Yeah.
Now, it's very important that I say we are not implying that you don't need a demo at all. So I want to make that very clear. The
Yes.
however is what Kay said so beautifully is get the demo that's you right now and that serves your purpose. Again, if you are someone who's like, I have a colleague and dear friend, and I asked this person, they work primarily in audiobooks, but they also do a little bit of commercial work. And I said, who did your demo? And this person was like, I don't want to tell you. And I was like, why? And they said, because they just had put together some samples, but it's been working just fine. And this person was like, and I'm not trying to get golden handcuffs. I just want to get work, keep doing audiobook, and just living my life and enjoying myself. So when we're talking about demos, I think the other thing is people might forget the word demo is short for demonstration. It is a demonstration of what you can do. And so
Yeah.
again, that sounds very fundamental and like I'm talking at you, at you, but I think people kind of think it's this other entity, but it's literally, it's a demonstration of what you can do. So, I'm going to turn it over to AB. One of the exciting things we're going to discuss later, which you brought up, is what agents actually want in 2024 when it comes to a demo? I think some people are going to be surprised by the responses, but let's keep going. Over to you,
Can I
Adrian.
just add one
Sure.
tiny thing to say that I haven't done a professional commercial demo in over 25 years. I just keep adding my spots, the work that I get, or auditions that I think are really good, that have already aired, all those things. And so it's possible. If we're working in voiceover and we're learning how to edit our own auditions, we're actually using those skills, and that's, there's a lot to it. But when it comes to taking little pieces, it really is just a matter of taking a piece, putting it in, and cutting, editing the right piece, right? So I just wanted to say that as a little button on.
Well, that's a perfect segue into what I wanted to talk about, because one of the hot button topics, so to speak, with demos is custom scripts versus not custom scripts. And we found when we talked to people that we should be probably using a different word than custom scripts. We probably should be using the word personalized scripts, because we found that a lot of demo producers actually find copy online and just tweak it to fit the talent, which is not custom writing a script like, what's the brand? Okay, Coke. All right, what's a good ad campaign for Coke?
Right.
They're not pulling it out of their head, which actually is good, I think, because it's a little bit arrogant of someone who's been a voice actor for any amount of years to say, I know everything about copywriting and how to craft a great ad campaign. So staying on brand, though, can be a bit of a challenge. And I think it's really interesting how so many demo producers talked about their process to making sure that they stay on brand with the brand they're representing as well as with the talent. But with a demo, it's really focused on showcasing the talent, not the brand. So I think you had mentioned an example to NJ about a Trader Joe's radio spot.
Yeah. So it's so interesting, because it's absolutely customary. It is the standard to create spots out of whole cloth to make a demo. That is the standard. It's expected, particularly on our first demos, right? When we don't have a bulk of work from which to choose and put our demos together. So it's absolutely true. Everybody knows it. Agents know it. So they're not. So I think it's not so much that I have to believe that you did the spot, that you actually did the spot. I have to believe that you could do the spot. Right?
Yes.
And so when I hear, and I heard this again on a demo that came to me, somebody did a radio spot for Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's doesn't advertise. They have no radio, no TV, they have no print campaign. They do the Trader Joe's flyer. That's what they do. That's it. And so and because I'm a Trader Joe's shopper, which lots of us are, I listen to it and I'm pulled out immediately of the listen. I'm like, yeah, they don't advertise. And I shouldn't be having that thought.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if you do a national network spot that you actually did not record. When I listen to it, do I believe that you could do it? That's what matters. So here's another example. A client came to me with her demos and wanted me to review them. And I listened to her promo demo, and it had virtually no promos on it. It was like snippets of in-show narration that were shortened, or like the open for an in-show or something like that. That is not a promo, right? It's not a promo. And at the end of the demo was a spot, a promo at the end that was for NBC Late Night, Fallon, SNL, Kimmel. Not Kimmel, sorry, he's on another network than NBC. And it was a female who came to me with this, right? The voice of NBC Late Night is Steve Mackle, and it has been him for almost 15 years. So I don't believe that spot. I don't believe it because I know who that is. That is a really rare example because we don't so much have in the commercial world spokespeople anymore, where we really recognize who it is. It's like, you are now free to move about the country, right? That was a really signature tagline. And if you were a female doing that, I'd go, yeah, that's not you. I know the guy who did that campaign and it wasn't you. And agents will know that. And casting people will know that because they're familiar with the people who have those campaigns, right? You can't do a progressive auto insurance and be Flo. She's too recognizable, right? So that's where we have to be smart about the type of copy that we choose. It's do I believe that you could do it? And so there are scenarios where I go, yeah, I just don't believe that. And that's where, and it's really different than, do you have the talent to do NBC late night? Of course, many people do. They do. But the guy who does it is still doing it, and it's been 15 years since Townsend Coleman did it before that for 15 years. So there isn't a circumstance where there's been a female doing NBC late night ever, except to, sub, right? And it's not like, well, I'm gonna show the industry that a female could do NBC late night. Yeah, do it on another show.
On a TikTok video
where our promos, that females are doing. They use a wide variety of voices, and then I'll listen and I'll go, huh, that's a good promo voice, right? So that's the important piece about copy, right? And to your point about copywriting, yeah, copywriting is a whole career.
It is.
And I tell people with brand imaging, the copy that you're getting there is written by people at Fifth Avenue advertising agencies who have master's degrees in English, who are working on their third novel, and they know how to write, and they know and so this idea that a voice actor or an engineer has that capacity, it's very rare. They're erudite engineers. I totally get that, but it's better that we choose copy and tailor it to us. Copy that's already been written and tailor it to us. That is the way it should be done.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm interviewing a multitude of demo producers and talking to agents in person. There's kind of a middle ground that's safe. Like, you're not going to do the iconic spots. It's like you're not going to show up to American Idol and sing Celine Dion.
Right.
You just don't, right? Because nobody is Celine Dion, right? So you're not going to. I mean, I am, and NJ is, but everybody else, no. But you want to make sure that what you're doing is believable, that it matches the brand, but not so much that they're going, wait, I know the person that did that spot, and that's not them. But when I talked to my agent at CESD, he's like, we know it's not real. We're not pretending like, oh, they actually booked these spots. And if you did, great. But we do know it's a demonstration. We're not stupid. And I thought that was kind of an interesting
Totally
way to put it, right? So what do you say to people who say, don't get a demo until you're ready? I guess what the real question is, how does someone know when they're ready, in your opinion, to make the demo they're going to submit to agents? So we're past, like, we're using the demo to get work, we're crafting samples, and we're ready for that demo. How does somebody know when they've reached that point?
I think you're going to get feedback from people that you coach with. I think you're going to get feedback from people that you meet in the industry, and they're going to say to you, this is a piece of why going to conferences can be helpful. If I take my work, or I have an opportunity to read in front of a casting director or an agent for that matter, and they say, you're really good, and I say, thank you. And they say, can you submit a demo? And I go, I really only have samples, and they go, well, submit those and you're probably ready to make a demo. Right. And so I think you get affirmation from different sources, and just be careful that your affirmation it can come from a demo maker, but it shouldn't come just from a demo maker.
Right.
It needs to come from different sources. I think.
Well, and the
And
best affirmation is booking work, right? If you're booking work
yes,
consistently, you know you're
yes.
doing well. My experience was like what you're talking about. I coached with Roger Becker, who was a casting director at the time, and now he runs Access Talent. But at that point, he was a casting director. And at the end of my coaching, he says, "What? Who do you want to be signed with? I'll help you get it. Like you're ready." And I said, "Well, I don't know that my demo's ready." And he took a listen to my demo and he's like, "It's not, but I think you'll be okay. Just let them know you're making a new demo and make a new demo." And so that's what I did. When I talked to my agency, I was like, "Just so you know, I am making a new demo." They're like, "Well, good, because we can tell, that you're there, but your demo doesn't represent what you're capable of." So that's when I think you kind of have to reach that point.
That's a perfect illustration. Absolutely perfect illustration of knowing
Yeah.
if you're ready to submit. Hands down. That's it. The person who was coaching you, anybody who says to you, first of all, talent saying, "Let me talk to my agent on your behalf," really rare and really risky for the talent making the referral.
Yeah.
I think I've referred two people in the time that I've been with Atlas, and one was because I knew um, they wanted Australian voice actors, right? There's a lot of call for Australian video game stuff, and I knew a very talented female Australian, and I was like, let me put in a word. So where was I going with that? Oh, a casting director or a coach who says to you, you know, where do you
Where do you want to
which
go?
agency do you want? Is like they have nothing, they have no incentive
Right.
to refer you. And so it's just an honest, transaction, if you will. They're not making money off of you. There's no kickback happening in a perfect world. And I always say that, like, that's so rare. And it's so, like,
I think
it's
it's a
so
lot
sketch.
less.
It's
Yeah.
not a part of the mainstream of
Yeah.
voiceover at all. But they got, it's like, if somebody offers to refer you, that means something. It really means something. So I think those are the best means by which if you're ready to make a demo, to pursue an agent.
Yeah, and when I started this process interviewing demo producers, I truly believed that maybe the demo producers shouldn't be the person coaching the person. Like it's the coach that then makes their demo. Is like, that feels like it's kind of biased opinion. But everybody that I spoke with that does it that way, they're like, the demo production kind of grew out of the coaching because my students would reach a point where I knew they were ready for a demo. I know their voice best. I wanted to help them get to that place where they were prepared and ready. And I thought that was an interesting, different twist that I got out of it. But every single one of them said, I highly recommend that they get outside opinions first. Like I'm not going to want them to just take my word for it. So
Yeah,
I think that's what you can do too, is if you're coaching with someone who's going to make your demo, make sure you get an outside opinion.
yeah, absolutely. And, you know, coach first. Coach first. And then it ought to grow out of coaching, as opposed to, oh, you want to make a demo? Okay, coach with me first, and then we'll make your demo. Does that, I mean, that's such a subtle
No,
distinction.
it's true. And that one of the questions, and that was very I hope everyone knows, and if you don't know, and maybe I missed it, A, B, and JT in my intro, but as part of my Facebook post and the Lisa Big situation, it launched into an adventure to interviewing voiceover demo producer. So if I didn't say that, I should have said that early on. So we'll talk more about it later, but all three of us interviewed so many voiceover producers, and we are going to share that information with you guys. But anyway, so that was part of this whole conversation. So Kay, before we're already well over 30 minutes. One of the things I struggle with. I'm a creative. I always say that. Like, I have my irons in lots of different fires. I love to do lots of different things creatively and to challenge myself. But we're all freelancers at the end of the day, right? And one of the things that I struggle with when I started this interview on my part, when I would interview demo producers, is I'm like, it feels like there's gatekeeping. And I know that's just such a overused term, but what I mean is it feels like we got away from, I'm a freelance voice actor and you're a freelance engineer, or, you do sound. Like, that if I go to someone to produce something for me and I pay them money, that they're telling me no. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're a freelancer and I'm a freelancer. Like, why is there even this option that you're telling me no? And I want to tell a quick story. One of the producers I spoke with shared a story about a guy who came to him who wanted a demo produced, and he had zero acting experience. And we heard this over and over with the producers, where they're like, yeah, we didn't want to feel like we were taking his money, or, that we thought we were taking advantage. And to me, that's something different. You're having an ethical battle with yourself. But because, again, from a business perspective, if someone says, I want to pay you, okay. But he goes, but I told him no. He just goes, I told him to go take some acting classes and then come back and talk to me. And he came back and he said, listen, man, he's like, I'm a full-time IT guy. And he's like, I just like to play video games. And all I want is just a demo that I can turn in for fan dubs. I mean, the guy was not, once again, where are you at? What's your goal? What is the purpose of this demonstration? And he goes, I just want to turn it in for fan dubs. And you know what? And the producer was like, you know what? Sure. He's like, I'm going to do my best to make you sound good. He's like, that's an engineer's job,
Yes.
period. And he goes, I'll be darned. He goes, the guy came back and he's booked 2 fan dub jobs. And that's all he wanted. But if the guy just kept telling him no, like, so that's the other part that I struggle with. Like, what is your kind of experience? Now, you've said you've just supplement for your for your reel. I guess it's a reel for you now when you're putting in real work that, but
Yeah.
where do you think that disconnect happens? Where did you think that disconnect happens, that, that there's just people who, on one side, these producers who go, just no, I won't do that for you. Should they? I don't know.
Well, I think you sort of hit the nail on the head. Like, we have forgotten to ask the person coming to us what their objective is.
Nice.
And
nice.
And a part of what my coaching, has morphed into is trying to help people realize that they have agency. It's their career. It's their path. It's their path, and so I do think that there needs to be a little course correction there, like what are you after? And it may be that the demo producer that they're asking, upon hearing the answer to that question, they may say, you know what, I'm not the demo producer for you, but I can recommend to you this person or that person, right? So I just don't think any of us has a right to say your career stops here because I'm not going to let you go past. I don't believe that, which is why I don't, if somebody comes to me, I can pretty much tell if somebody's going to be, 5 years from now or 2 years from now, someone that's like, ooh, watch that person, because they're going to be, a national booker, that based on their sound, their sensibility, whatever it might be, right? Not everybody's going to be that. And so I feel like we have to allow people to be on the path that they're on, and we don't get to control it. I don't get to control it, so I'm not a fan of gatekeeping. At the same time, let's say there's a total disconnect and somebody comes to me, and this has happened, right? And I'm not great at it. I haven't sort of perfected my answer or my reply or the way in which I can help. But some people come to me and they have aspirations to become you know, to become the next, animation superstar, and they don't have the capacity. They don't. It's clear because they can't read copy. It's not some hidden thing that I go, oh, underneath that I can tell, there's all this talent waiting to come out, but they just have to let go of their fear. It's not that. It's that they do not have an accurate sense of what they sound like. There is a disconnect. And so it's only happened to me once or twice, and I get a little bit dumbstruck because I'm like, what do I do? How do I say to this person, I'm not sure that this is the path for you. I'm not sure. I will never say, no, it's not the path for you, because I don't know. Stranger things have happened in the world, and it depends upon what the person again wants to do, But when there's a big disconnect of the talent that they're displaying to me and what they say they want, is like they're not on the same planes of existence. They just cross, And so I tend to say things like, are you willing to move to Los Angeles? Are you willing to compete with the likes of James Arnold Taylor and Rob Paulson and Maurice LaMarche? And are you willing to do that? Because that's Herculean, and so I try to speak reason to it, but that's super, super rare. That's really rare. So that's a long answer to your question about gatekeeping. I think that needs to be a bit revised, and for demo producers to be able to ask the question, what's your goal? And I'm a capitalist, so I know people want to make money, and they're offering a service that deserves payment. Like, I totally get that and believe in it. And at the same time, I think we have to make sure that we're not, it's like, I'm a capitalist, I'm an ethical capitalist, right? I think you have to ask yourself, am I doing the person any favors by making their demo now? And you have to be doing them some good, right? And there are times when I think, and again, I've witnessed this firsthand with people who come to me, where the demos did them no good, and now they have to start over, and they've kicked down, for 4 or 5 demos, they kicked down 10 grand, and it's so painful to me. Like, oh, so I did I answer?
Yes, that was
Yeah.
great. That was
Okay.
great. Absolutely. And it is important. In the chat, that was what somebody commented, is that should be the first question that any demo producer asks you is, what is your goal? And every demo producer we talked to, I believe without exception, said that they do a free consultation, that you can talk to them, and not every demo producer is going to be a good fit. So it's fine for you to say to someone after a few minutes, you know what, I don't think I'm the right fit for you. Let me
Yes.
recommend some other people.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to jump in here with our sponsor minute, because one of the things that's important about making a demo is that you're prepared to work, and that you have a home studio space that's going to match that. And there are a variety of different ways to do that and do it well. What I've chosen to do is get a Studio Bricks booth, because then I know my audio is going to be the same every single time. I never have to worry about pickups, or what are the sound levels going to be like. I know I can step in here and everything's going to be the same, and that gives me quite a bit of comfort in my career to know that it's going to be great. And I've had engineers and people I talk to, and they pop in on their Zoom, they're like, oh, you're in a Studio Bricks. Okay, we're good. They can
Yeah.
see right from the beginning that I take my business seriously, and that the space that I have set up is going to do what it needs to do. So check out Studio Bricks if you're interested in having in investing in your career. Now, I will say that I did not buy my Studio Bricks until I was able to pay for it with my business money. I'm not a big fan of going into debt either. So the same thing with Studio as with a demo, that you take the time, spend the money, book the jobs, and then justify the purchase. But check out Studio Bricks. I think they're a worthwhile investment. And we're going to switch over to JT, and we're going to kind of transition the conversation here away from an interview to us sharing the information that we learned through our interviews and through the agent survey. And all four of us will kind of weigh in here and there. So, Kay, feel free to jump in if you see something that you're like, oh, I want to comment. But I think we're going to, and if you're just now listening, we will go longer. This episode will not end at 2:00. Feel free to hop in and out. But we're going to make sure we give this the time it deserves. So, and Kay, if you need to leave, that's totally fine.
I'm good.
Okay. All right, JT, it's all you.
All right. So before we actually switch over to the survey that we sent to agents, I just have one more thing about demos that I'd like to get your feeling on. As somebody who works in a variety of genres, do you feel that you need to have a demo for everything you do?
When you're starting out, no. I mean, I started doing, the bulk of my career has been commercial and promo, and up until and narration. And then around 2010, 2012, so not that long ago, I moved into video games and animation. And I did that when my career had really kind of taken a nosedive. I mean, it really slowed to such a degree that I was like, huh, like, like, what's happening here? You know, and should I stay in it? Should I stay in voiceover, or should I find a different job, or what? And after, a few dark nights of the soul, I thought, voiceover is what you know, and you were an actor, and why don't you get yourself back to acting, because that's why you came to this town, so long ago. And so I went back to school. The immediate answer is, I asked my agents if they would submit me on video game and animation auditions, and they said, yes, we will. So they were submitting me on video games and animation before I ever made a demo. So that is obviously dependent upon the relationship that you have with your agents, right? And then when I did realize, like, I should have something, and so I made a combination demo. I made an animation video game demo, right?
Okay.
And so I did that, and then once I started working in those fields, I had work, right? I separated the demos and began to cultivate them individually, right?
Okay.
I think for a beginning voice actor, and again, depends upon where you are on the path, but for a beginning voice actor, what you really need is a commercial demo, and then perhaps pick one other thing that you feel like is where you shine. Like, what is in your wheelhouse that you're like, this is what I want to do, and my skills match my desire. Make that demo, right? So sometimes that'll be an animation demo. Sometimes that'll be a medical narration demo. Sometimes that'll be an in-show, or a documentary demo. So I don't think you have to have all the things all at once. I think you slowly build them. I started with a commercial demo, and a few years later, I did a promo demo. And several years later, I did a narration demo, right? And so I built them as I built that part of my career. So I think that is the wise thing to do, that doesn't bankrupt you. And then if I hadn't if I would have made a narration demo, like, how long is it going to take? Or an animation demo. It took me 4 years to land my first animation job. So is my demo now out of date? It's like, allow your career to blossom. And as it blossoms, consider that you might need a demo for blah, blah, blah. That's my sensibility. I don't think you have to jump in with everything you're interested in from A to Z. Pick one, pick commercial, and then pick, if you have the funds, pick the next thing that you're in love with. That's what I would say.
Yeah. And I know most people will say, you need the commercial demo. that is the staple. But I've also talked to talent and agents and producers who, animation or video games is really the only place that they want to work. So do you need the commercial demo, or should you, if you're going to spend money on that first demo, should it be the thing that you really want to go after?
Depends upon whether or not you want an agent, because an agent will, I think, unless you've all heard differently from agents, but my sensibility, and I don't know if it's old, this is just, again, my experience, but most agents will say, I need a commercial reel from you. It's to me, I think that a commercial demo is to a voice actor what a headshot is to an on-camera actor. You have to have a headshot. You can't say, well, I have this composite over here of all the characters that I do. And they'll be like, yeah, but we want to see who you are. We want to know who you are. And that is, that's what a commercial demo is. A commercial demo is not meant to be a showcase of everything you can do, or every character you can play, or every type of voice you can make in the realm of commercials. The thing that is supposed to come shining through a commercial demo is who you are, what you can do with your eyes closed, what you can do without thinking, that you can step in the booth and somebody can say, can you do that thing you did on the second spot? And you go, yep, no problem. So a commercial demo is really about who you are. That's its function, I think. And then, everything peripheral to that, shows your, just the other genres you can work in, so that's why I think it's not so much, golly, do I want to focus on commercials? Although commercials are still the bulk of voiceover in the world, so
Right.
that's where a lot of the work is. So that's my sense.
Yeah. And I find that there's kind of two paths with building the demos too. Because I've been in this since 2007-ish. I started with the commercial demo, and because I came from an engineering background, I did my first demos myself. And then eventually somebody's like, oh no, you have to have one of these 4 people do your demo production. And it turns out there are more than just 4 people who do demos.
Yeah.
There are women who produce demos, and that was something that we really focused on when we did our interviews with producers. We wanted to find some of those women who were really good at what they do. So we've got some interviews with female producers as well. And I'm getting off track. Where I was going with that is, as I built my body of work, then I made demos for medical and corporate and narration and just straight up e-learning, and even a demo for new employee welcomes. So you can kind of build those things as you go, and create your bodies of work. And then there's the, start with your commercial demo, and as you find things that you want to go after, then maybe find a producer you can work with, a coach you can work with, to really start working in that direction as well. Like if you really want to do promo, I know there are some people who say that promo is a no-brainer. They won't coach it because there's nothing to it. I beg to differ.
Yeah, I beg to differ.
So, find someone who can coach you in that.
Yeah, promo is like, and the same with news affiliate promo. There's, this is going to sound funny, but there's only one way to read a promo. I mean, that's the, the joke amongst all the people who do promos. It's like there is a certain way that a promo sounds, and that is what you have to teach. It's a rhythm, and you hit words differently than you do in commercial. It's different. Once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. It's so it's funny. It can be coached, but it's far less of a creative process than teaching commercials, right? Where you're using your imagination and who are you talking to, and all those kinds of things about commercial coaching. Promo, it's like, nope, hit this word. Okay, no, you have to go faster. It's, it's like, it's that kind of stuff. you know, you have to go up on that word. You can never go down on that. You know, it's that kind of coaching. So it's different. So anyway, I didn't mean to sidetrack us there, but yeah.
No, so that was just my next point was, once you got your established thing, and as you said, when you wanted to get into video game and animation, go to build those relationships with your agent. So when you get them, so that they know what your goals are and where you want to be
Yes.
working so that they can give you those opportunities as they come in.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, when I did start to pursue those things, I was taking classes and I was doing workshops and I was in front of casting directors trying to get their feedback. And it's feedback from casting, a prominent animation casting director that completely changed my life. Little does she know, right? That when she was like, yeah, your audition was meh, didn't really care about you in it. I didn't believe you. You weren't connected, you know. I did not take that personally at all. I was like, wow, Kay Bess, you call yourself an actor? Like, what happened to you? You forgot that you were an actor. Go back to acting school. Right. And it changed the trajectory of my career. And all of a sudden it was resurrected, you know. And so the coaching piece of it, but I did all that before I made a demo. You know, I got feedback, I took
Yeah.
classes, I was auditioning. So, you know, you have to be committed to the learning, you know, before you demonstrate. You have to know before you demonstrate, you know. So
Yeah. Okay. So we've got AB back. She has painstakingly crafted some graphics for us, and let's find out what our agents who chimed in feel the role of a demo is in 2024.
Yeah. So, Kay, once again, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us and your insights. So, it's one thing for demo producers to say you need a demo and for us to say you need a demo, and that it should sound like this, et cetera. But we kept finding ourselves neck deep in discussions with demo producers and casting directors who produce demos, and we realized there was kind of a disconnect between what we were actually hearing from our agents and what demo producers were saying, both regional and national agents, because between the two of us, we have the two of us, the three of us, I math. Between the three of us, we have a lot of agents. I'm not gonna try to add them up, but we're represented in a lot of different places all over the country. So we reached out to as many voiceover agents as we could. I believe we have 28 agents and I think we have all of the top agencies represented. We have New York, we have LA, we have CESD, Atlas, DDO, right? Yeah, we have a good representation. So we want to share that with you. So I'm going to share your screen and feel free to hop in, if you want to comment on these statistics. There are quite a few of them. So I'm going to talk fast because that's what I do well. So we're going to, no more telling Alicia to slow it down. I get to talk fast here. All right. I'm just trying to share my screen. Hold on. All right. Here we go. All right. Can you guys see this beautiful pie graph chart? All right. So we started with the type of agent. So you can see that the bulk of the people who responded were commercial or corporate. And then the second biggest chunk was commercial video game. Like they were allowed to fill in or check multiple boxes. So the yellow represents, we do a little bit of everything, and the red as well. The rest are honestly just the way they identify. Some of them just do corporate, commercial, and political, but everyone did some form of commercial. So we're mostly talking to people who do commercial, corporate, animation, and I think there's a little bit of promo and video game in there as well. The agent locations, the bulk of them consider themselves national, national New York and LA, national and Colorado, and then we have quite a few regionals, so like Chicago and the Southwest. So you can see how widely represented the Pacific Northwest, New York, I think we have just LA down here somewhere too. So a good representation. So we asked them, do you require a professionally produced commercial demo as part of your submission process in 2024? You'll notice that 67.9% of them said yes. which we expected, right? We know that a commercial demo is the standard and that they want it to be professionally produced. But we were actually surprised by how many said that they would accept other things. So 7% said no, which was only 2 agents if you look at the percentages. But then we've got yeses, but yes depends on the other stuff. And then yes, it's required, but it's easier to pitch a talent that has or it's not required, but it's easier to pitch talent that has a demo. So then we asked them, I gotta go to a different, they asked them, do you accept samples in work in lieu of a demo? And actually 57% said yes, and only 42% said no, which was surprising. So the question was asked in the comments, well, if I only have samples, should I still submit to rosters and obviously not agents? But actually the answer is maybe you could submit just with samples. When we discussed this with the agents or when we read their comments, the bulk of them said, if they're going to accept samples, it's going to be with a recommendation. So like, for example, when I was coaching with Roger, if I hadn't had a demo, he might have just submitted me with samples and they would have listened to what I had to say simply because of my recommendation. So they're not typically going to just accept Joe Schmo who's emailing them 10 samples in a row. But I do know in conversation with my agent this week at CESD, he said that someone had sent him a list of samples and he was like, I had some time, so I listened, and they were links. And so he said, no, submit them in the email. Put your actual files in the email when you're submitting to agents. Don't give them links. So he said, I actually told him to send me links instead. I mean, to send me files instead of links. And he said he did actually listen. So sometimes they do listen. He said they weren't ready to be submitted, but.
Can I just make an observation?
Absolutely.
A demo is a series of
samples.
So I always think to myself, well, if you have the samples, you can put them together and make a demo. Yeah. And then you have a demo. And that is the kind of engineering that's going to cost you $100 if you want somebody else to do it. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's really, and when I was on a site and I had to put up samples and I just took my demo apart. Yeah. I just took the sample and so that's all a demo is a collection of samples.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So
obvious. I thought I'd state
it does feel obvious, but it's not always obvious. Yeah. And sometimes those we encourage people to make their own samples. So when you say samples, that's, if you're brand new, don't submit your samples to an agent. Wait till you've had some coaching. And if you're not, I guess the same rule applies. If you're ready to submit to an agent, you'll know because you'll have gotten that feedback from coaches. And so I guess there are scenarios where they might just accept your examples of work rather than a demo. In fact, every single one of them said that they love to see actual examples of your booked work, not just a demo.
Yes.
So
and
let's
real quick. Harry Dunn famously said, it's not what you do with your demo. Like, are you ready for a demo? The question is, are you ready for what comes after the demo?
Yes. That's a great point.
If you're going to submit to the agent, you better be ready to book work.
Okay, here's the next big one. Does the demo producer matter to you? So with 28 agents, 67.9% said no. They don't care who made your demo. In fact, they don't even want to know. And 32% said yes. Interestingly enough, the ones that we talked to individually, they don't care who made your demo because they're going to prioritize somebody's demo over another. They care who made your demo because there's certain demo producers they will not work with. So it's actually going to hurt you, not it's going to help you.
It's not what you expect, right?
Yeah,
from that.
It was kind of the opposite. So that was really comforting to hear that it doesn't really matter who made it. A demo is a demo. If it speaks, what is it George Whittam always says? Like, if it works, it works, or
if it's good enough, it's good enough. Or if nobody's complaining, you're good.
Yeah. All right. So then we asked them, in 2024, does a talent need more than a commercial demo? And 42.9% said yes. 28.6% said conclusively no. But a lot of them had some pretty interesting answers. So the short answer is that a commercial demo no longer needs to be your first demo. I thought that was an interesting one. Industrial demos are helpful. In some instances, we gave them a lot of freedom in their answers. If all you ever want to do is commercials, then a great commercial demo may be all you need. But if you want to book work in other genres, aim for that as well. But not, this is important, not for signing with an agent, for booking work. That was
Yes.
the key thing. It's not that you need a bunch of demos to get signed. It's that you need demos to show that you can do other work. So for example, when I made a corporate demo, I sent it to my agents and then they started submitting me. I was already signed with them for commercial work. And then they were like, oh, wow, she can do this too. I could always do it, but they didn't know because they didn't have a representation of what I was capable of, right? I told you I was going to talk fast. All right. Which do you prefer on a commercial demo? A compilation of booked work, just one. No preference, 18. A compilation of booked work, 6. And that was, this guy said no preference. Custom written spots was only 2. And why are those different? Oh, a combination. This guy says a combination, these two. But the bulk said no preference. And only a few said a compilation of booked work. So I think that nothing there is saying you have to have custom written copy that's never been heard before.
Correct.
So that was very interesting. Cold read. If a talent has a demo, do you still have a talent cold read auditions before deciding to sign them? And the answer is conclusively yes at 90%. I think we only had one. Yeah, we had one who said no. So the interesting thing about this is the reason they're having you cold read, they still want a demo, but they want to know that you can reproduce that demo. And that's where the cold reads come in. All right. How often, if ever, do you send a talent's demo in place of custom auditions to book a project? This is interesting because I do book work off of my demo. And I've talked to several people who said they've never booked work off of their demo. So this does show that your demo can actually book you work. We've got rarely, sometimes, and frequently are the bulk. Very few. This one said sometimes. This one just said other. And I don't think we had any no's. So they do send your demo off. Yep. This was interesting. We often hear that they're only going to listen to a little bit of the demo, but 42.9% said that they listened to the entire demo. They're going to give you the time to listen to your entire demo. So that was really nice to hear. 14% said no. The ones who said yes and no said it just depends. If they're drawn in, they might listen to the whole thing. If it's very obvious from the beginning that it's not going to work, then they're not going to. How long do they listen in general? We've got, which is funny because they just said they listened to the whole thing, but then here they're like 3 spots, 2 spots, 1 spot, or 1 or 2 spots. So the bulk listened to at least 3 spots. And I don't know that we gave them, I guess we probably had the whole thing. I don't know. Anyway, at least the bulk of 55% listened to at least 3 spots. All right, what catches their attention? The talent's actual voice and sound is more important to them than the production or the overall storytelling, vocal range. We gave them the chance to fill this in themselves. So we'll publish this information later. You guys can read through it, but it is really interesting. Their storytelling ability popped up a lot. Vocal range, vibe, overall vibe. There's only one that clicked spots that sound like actual ads, or 2. So it's really more important just how you sound. This is just to give them a chance to hear how you sound.
Which I think that's really important to key in on, because that one surprised me. I mean, It did and it didn't. So for those folks, because I think this is important, who are like, I don't sound like AB or JT or K, but if you do sound different and unique, even if you're haven't booked a national campaign, just your voice alone may get you in the door. And I think that's important for people to know.
And I think one thing that's really important to point out about this particular survey question is that this is assuming your demo is good, right? Like if your demo is not done well, it's going to put them off of listening to you. So it's kind of an assumed understanding that your demo is good and well done. So it is important to have a well-done demo, because we did talk to several who are like, nope, if it's terrible, we're just not going to listen. All right. This was interesting. We asked how many of them list their current roster of talent and their demos on their website. 78.6% said yes, 21.4% said no. And then the ones who do just list it on their website, 42.9% said that talent book work directly off their demo on their website, which again shows that your demo is important for more reasons than just getting an agent. Because even once you have the agent, that might book you work in the future. I just booked a job last month off of my demo. I think it's when they sent, because they don't have me listed on their website, even though they say they list all their talent on their website. That's a
They
beef.
may just not have gotten to it.
That's
Like
what they.
I've sent my agents all my updated demos, and then I go to the site and I'm like, yeah, those aren't my updated demos. Then I have to call them back and go, can you update my demos, please?
Yeah.
And they go, right. Sorry.
Yeah, they're like at CESD. They're like, it's just not our priority to manage the website. We're busy doing so many other things, so I don't push it because I just don't care. All right, we said samples. I already showed you that. And then, do you think it's important for a brand's name to be mentioned in each spot on a demo? The bulk here clearly said no preference. About half said definitely, and then unless it's booked work, then it should not. No preference. They
That's interesting.
do. Yeah, this one was interesting. I do not want to hear copies of existing or previously produced spots if you didn't voice them. Don't take something someone else voiced and try to claim it as your own. So that was, one person who said that. But the other people, yes, it's important to hear the inflection, to make sure the message is being portrayed correctly. Not in each spot, but some more than not. And then this one, I want as few big conflicts as possible on a demo. So that's important too, because brands may not realize that your demo is not booked work. And then if you have a demo for Coke and you're trying to book something for Pepsi, they may say, oh, I don't want to work with them. They've already done Pepsi, so it might put you off of it. So brands are important, clearly, but not as important as we thought. So no preference is the bulk. To agents. So that is a bajillion charts really fast about what demos, how agents feel about demos. And I think the biggest takeaways are that demos are important. Who produces it is not as important. That it represents where you are right now in your career is important. Agents will accept samples if you have a recommendation. So it's always wise to coach with people who can connect you to the people you want to work with. And there you have it. Whew, I need to breathe now. So I'm going to turn the mic over and stop screen sharing.
That was an extraordinary survey you did.
Right?
Hands down, hands up to you, hands down to you. My kudos to you. How's
Thank
that?
you. Thank you.
Really good. Really interesting information. That all squares with me. Like that all makes sense to me. There's nothing there. I go, really? That's what this?
Yeah. There were very few things we were surprised about, to be honest. I mean, most of it just is what we already knew and in the industry. I think we do get too hung up on like who produced your demo.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I'm not sure that anybody has ever asked me, except for when submitting to awards. Nobody's ever asked me who made my demo.
It's, it's a little bit like college, it's like once you graduate, and you say, yeah, I have my master's in blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, did you get it from Harvard? It's like,
no,
nobody asked that.
Yeah.
And well, let me back that up and say, nobody asks your grades. It's like, okay, so you graduated from Harvard. What was your GPA? It's like, well, I passed everything, count. It's like that. It's like, nobody's asking that. It's just a good thing that you've got a demo that works for you.
We did
One
hear.
thing, sorry.
You go ahead.
Okay. So one thing that AB touched on, and I want to circle back because my current experience with agents, and I want to make sure. So again, where we all go, yeah, I kind of expected that. A lot of people don't. There's a lot of listeners and viewers who don't understand this. And there was a really important chart that AB shared, and I just want to circle back on because I just had this experience probably 3 months ago. So you coach, you get the demo and you submit to the agency. And the agency may say, we're interested. And then they're going to send you, and this is becoming, I'm finding very much the norm, because there were a few that go, no, we'll take the demo and we got you. Like, we got it. We'll decide on that. But really what I'm seeing trending is the agents are sending copy and they're like, we want you to read these 3 scripts and send it back. And all of a sudden, that's when, right, imposter syndrome, you get in your head, you do 35 takes of one script and you've just like, your whole day's been sucked away. But this goes back to no, I'm not judging, me too. But, and one agency I didn't sign with, like it wasn't a fit, and that's okay. But this goes back to, can you self-direct? When that audition comes in, can you do this? Do you sound different? JT and AB and I, we are now on a trend where we're getting auditions the same, and we send them to each other and we stack them up.
Right.
Yes. And we go, oh my gosh, we all did the exact same inflection, timing, pace, like pick the thing. And you have that moment where you go, oh my gosh, I'm not actually different. So when you're submitting to an agent, same thing.
But I want to just like apply a check here, because all of your voices are so different. So you don't sound the same. And this is such a big thing to me, like in reading copy, when we have to honor the copy. We have to honor the meaning that the writer has intended. So to me, if you guys are all hitting the same words, the same inflections, it's because you all understand the copy correctly. It's written to make sense in a certain.
Oh, I like her.
I know, I like her. I like that answer.
Well, that's a good answer.
But also you'll never sound the same, because you have different vocal qualities. And so if somebody, puts it, I get stuff like this and I have to go, let me undo that for you, because you're applying emphasis to a word in order to sound different, right? But now the sentence makes no sense anymore. So your job is to make sense of the sentence. And it's your vocal quality that you can do nothing about. It was given to you. That's the thing that makes you different, and you must honor the copy. You must make sense of the copy. So
I feel like we came here to talk about demo production, but you just dropped like the most beautiful bomb of knowledge in the middle of that, because that is something we get really hung up on in the current industry is, oh, you've got to sound different. You've got to stand out. You've got to be different. But you bring up a really good point that if you are honoring the copy, you may all sound similar because you understand the goal. And when you reach a certain point, you're going to sound similar. But we did a test last night, and we each had done the copy. Our inflections looked similar when you just looked at the waveforms next to each other. But then when we played them, we sounded very different, even though we did hit the same words the same ways. We did sound different. So
exactly. Yeah. May we never try to, make ourselves sound different by virtue of which word we emphasize.
All right. So where are we headed next, ladies?
I think the last, the last part of the survey that we sent out, we just asked them if they had any comments that they wanted to share with us. Is there anything you want to elaborate on or give feedback on about demos in 2024? And I'm going to start with the longest first. These are all completely anonymous. We don't know because they didn't sign it and we didn't ask. So I could talk forever about the do's and don'ts of demos and VO in general. My biggest takeaway about demos: don't make a demo. I mean, don't pay someone to make you a demo before you're ready to cut a demo. If you haven't had any VO training at all, a couple of weekend workshops doesn't count. You're not ready for prime time. If you have some training, but your coach tells you that you're not ready to make a demo, listen to them and then get back to training. That should also include working with other coaches too, so you're not just relying on one person's opinion. Invest in yourself early and the work will follow eventually. Work on your skills. Practice, network, train, coach with different people, research. Don't rush. Trust the process. Don't put the cart before the horse. You'll never compete with the big dogs if you're not ready for competition. Would you try to run a marathon if you haven't learned to walk? In this industry, the competition for voiceover work is fierce. So don't get stuck in a race at the bottom by doing things backwards. There's absolutely no shame in working your tail off to get ready before you invest time and money in making a good demo you can be proud of, and one that will get people to listen to all of it. I tell people this. If you need brain surgery, would you trust the person with 0 medical school training to operate on you? Would it make any difference to you if they had a sharp scalpel and new scrubs? No, because that person isn't a doctor yet. They're just wearing a costume and waving props around. If you let them if you let them near you with that scalpel, only one of you is leaving the operating room, and I guarantee those scrubs will be soaked with your blood and brain matter. Just because you have a microphone and a mouth that produces sound does not make you a voice actor. Learn the trade, invest in the tools, train, coach, and then train and coach some more. And don't make an effing demo before you're ready. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. We now return you to your regularly scheduled program. So I thought that was worth reading the entire thing because we agree to most of what was said there. Is there any, okay. I marked yes and no on the above question only because of how little I listen to a demo. It really depends on what I'm needing on the roster, and I know pretty quickly if a voice fits the bill. But if it does, I listen to the entire demo. More and more, if a talent doesn't present themselves as being good to go as a pro, website, legit home sound, good demos, etc., I'm not going to pay as much attention when they submit. Not to mention, the manner in which a talent presents themselves via email matters a ton to me. Since 90% of the work I do is via email, if a talent can't be clear, professional, and friendly in an email, it tends to turn me off. So your presentation when you're approaching agents matters. And we just spoke to somebody recently who said, know your audience. A lot of these agents are younger people. They want everything fast. If you're dealing with an agent who's been in the business longer and they're, closer to my age, a conversational email is going to be okay. So do a little research before you send and make sure that you're hitting your target. A demo should always represent the true level and sound of the talent. Overproduced demos are not going to help anyone. The music and the sound effects and all those fancy little zingy things are not what they're listening for. They need to hear your voice up front. You don't need to spend $1 zillion on a great demo. And in talking to the producers, those should have launched 23 minutes ago live. There is a big variety of demo producers out there to choose from, and you need to find the one that you click with. Demos, they are needed to get your foot in the door, at least when submitting for representation. Okay. A commercial demo must be professionally produced. The market is too competitive these days to work with a demo that's not top-notch. Put the time and effort into a solid commercial demo. The actor will always audition for every video game, podcast, animation project, etc. The biggest thing I notice on demos, especially when talent put them together and they're not from previously booked work, is that they tend to make the background music the focal point and use that to carry the emotion, and it really loses the talent's voice and sound. So again, you're not depending on anything but your performance in that demo. The biggest thing I notice in I did that one. The first 30 seconds to 1 minute have to hook me in order to listen further. Things go and move very quickly these days. And our last comment is, in my opinion, I do not think talent need to drop a fortune in getting demos created. I would rather hear one booked spot instead of a demo made with custom written spots. Again, this is a personal preference. We rep talent who, when we first started working with them, only had audition samples to share. However, sending a cold email with only audition samples is unlikely to get a response. It usually needs to come with a recommendation from a casting director, talent manager, etc. Cold emails in general are tough. So that is what our agent profile left us with as their final thoughts.
So much great info. And again, coming directly from the horse's mouth. It is not us spewing an opinion, or, I mean, we can share our experiences. And I did share an experience that I had with the cold, the cold auditions and those kinds of things. But these are national agents saying, hey, this is where we're at. So what was most important to us in having this conversation about demos, bringing Kay on, who has 4 decades in the industry, is to try to kind of like level the playing field. We get information here, and it's hard to wade through the weeds and figure out what is what. But when you just go to the source, that's what we like to do at VO Booth Besties. Let's talk to the producers. Let's talk to the agents. And then all that conjecture, everything else just goes out the window, because now you know. And that was important for us, to be a resource and to get you the information. If somebody asked, I was starting to message back in here. Hold on. Who was it that asked, Amy? Anyway, someone asked where the demo producer videos are and who we interviewed. So on the VO Booth Besties, boothbesties.com website, we have a link that says resources, and it will list all of the demo producers that we interviewed, and a link to, thank you, AB and JT, for managing all of that, to their YouTube, to our YouTube channel, to their video. We have a playlist. Guys, we have over 30 demo producers. I mean, not 2, 3, 4, 30. Actually, I think we're at 33. I think
we have 31.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, it's because I did a couple offline. That's on me.
But if anybody doesn't see someone that they want to see on that list, whether it's them or someone they've worked with, encourage them to reach out to us. We tried to do our due diligence and reach out to every demo producer we could find in searches. Some didn't want to participate. Some just didn't get back to us. I don't think they knew who we were, but we are happy to add anyone to this list at any point in time. They just need to reach out to us.
Yeah, thank you for focusing on that. Yeah, so don't come after us if you don't see someone on there, because two producers said they did not want to participate, and then some just didn't get back. Go ahead, Kay.
I just want to say what a remarkable resource that you've provided. I just, my goodness.
Well, we also put it in the description, but we approached this. Let me be very clear, putting it out loud in writing. We approach this from an educational and an introductory standpoint. Yeah. We are not, VO Booth Besties nor Kay Bess are endorsing any of these producers to say you should use these, or no. What we are doing is letting you know there's more than just the ones we kind of hear in Facebook groups. And some of these folks are just word of mouth only. And they're, oh my gosh, I didn't even know these producers existed. And they were very clear. They were like, we're not going to go to a conference. That's not what we want to be a part of. They were like, we're just over here doing our thing. And I mean, incredible production processes, and for half the price that we're seeing some other producers. So we want to be a resource. Again, we're not endorsing, saying this is who you must use, but part of choosing a producer is getting a vibe. Well, how do you do that? How do you know? So we crafted these interviews to have about 8 to 10 questions, and we tried to ask everybody. I mean, we did, the same questions. So you should be getting the same information, tailored to how they do production and what they charge, et cetera. But we tried to keep all the various variables the same, but also just in talking to them, you're going to listen to these interviews and you're like, they're cool. I want to be a part of that. Like, I want to talk to them further. Or you may go, like not a fit, or it could just be cost alone or process alone you may not agree with. But how do you know, right? That's the question we keep going back to, is how do you know who to do a demo with? So we're just trying to open it up and give you options. There you go. That's all I'll say.
I wanted to add that where this came from initially was with all of the stuff around Lisa Biggs, people kept saying, vet your demo producer, vet your demo producer. And we're like, but how?
Wow.
But how? There is, I was a victim of Lisa Biggs, so to speak. I paid her for a demo that I never received. And after months and months and months and months and months, and when I chose to work with her, she had so many A-list names, people I recognize and trust as people she had produced demos for. And their demos sounded good. And so I was like, okay. And I didn't know any better because nobody was saying it. And so we're like, we wanted to create something where you could go and interview metaphorically or through us, that's not the right word, but whatever, that you could get an interview with each of these producers so that you could vet them a little bit and decide who you wanted to interview and move forward. So some of them you're going to vibe with, like NJ said, some of them you're going to be like, no, some of them you're going to be like, oh, I really love, I never thought about that way before, and so at the end of the day, it's to give you a resource that you can use to learn. But again, it's not an all-inclusive list, and it is absolutely not a recommendation or an endorsement. Although each of us do have our own opinions, and they are not the same opinions. You're welcome to reach out to any of us, and we'll share our opinions. But we won't do that publicly because we want this to be an unbiased research resource.
Well, it's a tremendous offering. It really is. And as somebody who, I'm for the voice actor. I'm so mindful of what it costs to enter this business. It's expensive. You have a lot of gear. Demos are a big part of it. Coaching is a huge part of it. And so again, not everybody has the same resources. Not everybody has the same goal. And so to be able to provide options for people, I think is fantastic. It's really fantastic. So really nicely done. I'm excited to go look. I am. I'm totally thrilled. I can't wait.
Well, thank you. We hope everybody is excited to go and check this out. We have made it 90 minutes today, so we're going to just wrap this up. If you're listening to our podcast, please feel free to join us live on YouTube next Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you connect with each of us on LinkedIn, join the VO Booth Besties Facebook group. If you missed a live episode, you can always catch the recording later on our website, boothbesties.com, or anywhere that you find your favorite podcasts. A lot of them now are also living on YouTube. We would love it if you would hop on any platform, share, leave a comment. Those reviews help us reach more listeners looking for great voiceover content. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Thank you very much for being here and have a great rest of your day.